Welcome back, strangers. Today, we're doing a collaboration with Swamp Dweller on the strangest cryptid and UFO encounters. Flatwoods, West Virginia is your typical small town. It only has about 270 residents and was originally incorporated in 1902. The community became nationally known after the Flatwoods Monster UFO incident, which occurred there over 6 decades ago. Sometime around 7 p.m. on September 12, 1952, 3 boys were playing football on their school's playground. Suddenly, they saw a fiery object flash across the sky and land on a hill near a farmer's land. They immediately ran to the home of Kathleen May, a mother of one of the boys, and together, they all went to investigate the area with their dog. There are several different stories that describe what happened when the group reached the hill, but the most widely accepted one is they simply saw a strange large red light. When the oldest boy pointed his flashlight at it, they could see a tall creature with a pair of shining eyes. The monster saw them and glided towards them before abruptly changing direction back towards the red light. They were so scared of this creature that they ran far away after witnessing its terrifying appearance. The group each described the monster's appearance differently. Some said it was dark and colorless, while others said it was green. Yet they all agreed that it had a human-like form with a red face that emitted a strange glow, and it had an unmanly hissing voice. When the group arrived home, Kathleen quickly contacted a news reporter and a local sheriff to report what they had witnessed. The sheriff and reporter went and searched the area that night. They didn't encounter the monster, but the reporter said that there was a strange metallic odor in the air at the location. This inspired him to investigate the site a second time the following morning in the daylight. That morning, he discovered a thick black liquid along with unusual track marks in the ground. The encounter made headlines in both local and national newspapers, which caused the U.S. Air Force to send investigators to the small town. The investigators questioned several other witnesses who also reported seeing something strange, including a mother and her teenage daughter who claimed they both saw the creature a week ago. Another witness said that her house was shaken at the time of the crash and her radio cut off for more than half an hour after the incident. Despite these witnesses, most of the investigators and news reporters believed that the object witnessed was only a meteor. However, there were those who believed the witnesses had encountered something unknown. Local newspaper publisher A. Lee Stewart stated that those people were the most scared people I've ever seen. Although the unidentified flying object is believed to have been a meteor, that doesn't completely explain the encounters and sightings that happened in the area in 1952. The reporter who discovered the landing tracks also found traces of an odd gummy deposit at the landing site. The metallic smell in the area caused witnesses to experience nausea and sore throats. What did the witnesses encounter that day? Was it a monster? The boys and Kathleen stuck to their story. Everyone who talked to the witnesses after the event reported that they were frightened to death. The skeptics believed that what they saw was likely only a barn owl, since the descriptions of the monster's appearance and its unusual hissing voices were similar to those of an owl. Whether it was only a bird or a true monster encounter, the town of Flatwoods hasn't forgotten that day in September of 1952 that sparked the legend of the Flatwoods Monster. If you're ever in the area, you can check out their monster museum and grab some strange souvenirs to remember your trip to West Virginia. On August 2, 1955, nearby a rural farmhouse in the small town of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, witnesses reported encountering extraterrestrial beings and seeing a UFO nearby. Today, the famous encounter is known as the Kelly-Hopkinsville Encounter, or the Hopkinsville Goblins case. It began when the Sutton family witnessed something strange on that August evening in 1955. The family had Billy Ray Taylor, a family friend, staying with them from Pennsylvania. That evening, he went outside to collect water from the well. When he was out at the well, he saw a giant, shiny, unknown object fly across the sky. It appeared to have landed less than a half-mile away from him. He immediately ran back inside to tell 2 other people who were home what he had witnessed. He excitedly described seeing a round metallic object with a rainbow-colored stream trailing behind it. Unfortunately, no one believed Billy Ray that night. They laughed it off like it was a joke, or assumed he might have seen a meteor in the sky. Although no one he told believed him, Billy Ray eventually convinced one of his friends to go back to the well with him and investigate. Like his friend had expected, they found nothing unusual. Disappointed, they returned to the farmhouse where they suddenly saw a glowing 3-foot-tall monster creeping out of the woods towards them. It had its hands up as if it wanted to surrender. They described it as having large eyes, a long thin mouth, large ears, thin short legs, and hands ending in claws. They were so terrified by the strange creature that they ran back to the house and frantically barricaded the doors. When they looked out the window, they saw more than a dozen of the goblin-like beings surrounding the house. The creatures appeared to be very confused. They attempted to peek through the windows of the house and tried to get inside. This scared the family dog, who began frantically barking. This motivated Billy Ray and his friends to do something before the situation got out of control. They put the children to bed and equipped themselves with guns, waiting for the perfect time to open fire. Soon, one of the creatures peeked through the window and Billy Ray fired. But he didn't kill it. The creature appeared to just vanish after it was shot. This caused the men to start shooting at every little goblin they saw, yet none of them were affected by it. The bullets couldn't harm the creatures. It was like they were made of the strongest metal, or had some sort of invisible shield protecting them. The gunfire did startle the creatures, and it gave the men a chance to get back outside and take control of the situation. They spotted a goblin on the roof, and it tried to grab one of the men with its long claw-like hand. They shot it at point-blank range, but the bullets didn't do anything to the creature, and it got away safely. The men returned to the house, terrified, unable to stop the goblins. The creatures continued to peek through the windows and tease the family. Since bullets were ineffective, they decided to wait a few hours to see if they could safely get to their cars and escape. They wanted to report the encounter to the police. The men struggled to convince the sheriff that the story was true and not some kind of prank before he sent officers out to investigate the area. When the police arrived at the home, the creatures were gone. The only evidence of the strange encounter were bullet holes on the property. The local news reported the story the next day, and soon the news of the goblin encounter spread across the country. Most people in the area believed the story was a hoax, yet some had a hard time dismissing the men's testimonies. Each one was questioned separately and recounted the same encounter. Each description of the creatures was sketched, and they were all eerily similar, with no major differences between them. They were questioned by others years after the event, and their stories remained unchanged. Since no one could prove these events were a hoax, many UFO experts believe it's one of the best documented encounter cases and consider it to be authentic. Skeptics believe they saw a group of great horned owls that night, which can sometimes be found in the area. The Kappa Cygnet's meteor shower could explain the UFO sighting, and bullets ricocheting off trash cans and barrels nearby could explain the aliens being made of metal or having force fields. The encounter helped popularize the words "little green men" by the media covering the case. Locals haven't forgotten that strange day in August. The Kelly community now celebrates the anniversary of the event on the third weekend of every August with a festival called the Kelly Little Green Men Days. It's a summer festival that's all about fun, food, and aliens. I have always wanted to attend but haven't had a chance. If you can't travel all the way to Kentucky, you can still find the little goblins without leaving home in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. The Pokemon Sableye is based off the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter. What do you think the family in the farmhouse witnessed that night?
For years, colonists in New Jersey were terrorized by an unknown creature. Some believed the horrible creature was a real-life monster. Others thought it was a ghost or evil spirit terrorizing the colony. The monster became known as the Jersey Devil. Its appearance and story differs widely between those who have allegedly witnessed it. Yet, it has become one of the most infamous legends of New Jersey. The most popular version of the legend begins in 1735, when a poor woman who lived in a forest near New Jersey discovered she was pregnant with her 13th child. She was so miserable after learning about the little miracle of life inside her, she exclaimed, "The devil himself can take this one." On the night she gave birth, she realized her baby wasn't normal. It was a deformed monster that had a horse's head and reptilian body with bat-like wings. The devil's child immediately grew 20 feet long and flew around the room, before escaping out the chimney and disappearing into the night. The monster began terrorizing anyone who was unlucky enough to encounter it, and it soon became known as the Jersey Devil by the townspeople nearby. Another version of the legend revolves around a young, unfortunate girl from Leeds Point who fell in love with a British soldier during the Battle of Chestnut Neck in 1778. The people of the town were against the relationship and accused the young girl of treason. As a result, the townspeople cursed her, and she later gave birth to a monster. Whilst most skeptics believe this monster a result of naive townspeople, there are those who claim that they have witnessed the devil and swear on its existence. They believe the beast destroyed their crops, infected their cows, and even blew down trees in fits of rage. Some will go so far to say that the monster has killed local fish, livestock, pets, and even a few children. Government officials and notable citizens have witnessed the creature. Businessmen, police officers, and many other officials have allegedly heard or seen the monster, making many believe in the creature's existence. One of the most famous people to have witnessed the devil was Joseph Bonaparte, brother of French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. He was unfortunate enough to come across the horrible beast while hunting near Bordentown, New Jersey. In 1909, hundreds of alleged encounters with the Jersey Devil filled newspaper headlines and frightened the whole state. Schools were closed and workers were recommended to stay at home from work. Even the Philadelphia Zoo joined in the craziness and offered a $10,000 reward for the creature's body. The sightings excited experts, and some from Philadelphia and the Smithsonian Institute theorized the monster was an undiscovered creature from the Jurassic period that somehow managed to survive and stay hidden from humanity. New York scientists suggested the creature may be a type of marsupial carnivore, but no one was able to give an accurate answer. Sightings of the beast have continued till today, and there are new reports of the creature every year. The influence of the Jersey Devil in the area is still huge. It was named the official state demon, backed by Governor Walter Edge's belief in the creature. Today, there are far less sightings of the elusive beast, causing it to receive less press and media attention. Skeptics say this proves that the Jersey Devil was only an elaborate urban legend that has been passed down through the years, while others believe that the creature fled to rural places as the population in cities exploded. Electric lights were invented, and roads and modern structures took over its natural habitat. Regardless whether you believe in the Jersey Devil, the story of the strange beast will always remain a crucial part of New Jersey folklore.
A couple of months ago, I was visiting my brother, who happens to live in southern Wisconsin in a small town called Elkhorn. It's a very rural area with lots of backcountry roads and nothing but woods, homes, and family farms. One night, my brother and I were out late driving back to his place when he decided to take me down Bray Road. Driving down this road, on the left side was a 10 or so foot clearing with only dirt and grass before a bunch of thick brush and trees. It was a little after 11 p.m. at this point, and as we were driving, we noticed a large black dog on the side of the road, but something wasn't quite right. It looked like it was crouched down, like a human being waiting to jump out at something. It wasn't looking in our direction, but you could tell the creature's head looked like a dog's head. The headlights of our car started to shine on the strange dog, and it immediately turned its head towards the car and stood up on its hind legs, making this loud hissing sound. I don't know how else to describe it. My brother slammed on the brakes and both of us started to panic. Standing almost 30 feet away from us on the side of the road was this monster. I don't even know what to call it. I want to say werewolf, because that's the only way I can describe what it looked like. Maybe it was a skinwalker. I don't know. This beast had piercing, sharp yellow eyes that didn't reflect when the light hit it, but almost seemed to glow on their own. This thing had a huge snout and very sharp, pointed ears and was giant. When it hissed, you could see how sharp its teeth were. The creature was terrifying. It jumped and moved fast. This thing honestly looked like something out of a horror movie. We had our windows rolled down on the way home, and we smelled what I can only describe as if someone had mixed garbage, decaying flesh, and wet dog together. This monster was about 8 or 9 feet tall and looked like it was made of pure muscle. The creature was covered in shaggy hair with finger-like claws, like it was straight out of your typical werewolf movie. We only saw it for what seemed like a few seconds before it let out this horrible scream that shook me and my brother to the core. It immediately started to aggressively pace towards our car, baring its teeth as if it was ready to kill. My brother and I screamed at the top of our lungs, and he floored it as hard as he could. He sped all the way home. We didn't say a word the rest of the way. We didn't even sleep that night. What I saw that night truly terrified me so bad. I'm sharing this because I hope that people will educate themselves and know what's out there. This is a perfect description of an encounter with the Beast of Bray Road, a creature often seen on the rural road outside of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and other areas around southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Sightings of the Beast of Bray Road go back as far as the 1930s. However, it wasn't sighted frequently or reported thoroughly until 1989 through 1992. Most of the sightings have occurred when someone stumbles upon the beast while it was eating, or possibly hunting or scavenging. Sightings of the monster have tapered off since the 90s, but there are still reports that the creature can still be found in the area. The numerous sightings in the late 1980s and early 1990s prompted a local newspaper, the Walworth County Week, to assign reporter Linda Godfrey to cover the story. Godfrey was initially skeptical, but later became convinced by the sincerity of the witnesses of the beast. Her series of articles on the creature later became a book titled The Beast of Bray Road, Trailing Wisconsin's Werewolf. The monster is described as 6 to 8 feet tall, with grayish and brown fur. Its face is said to resemble that of a dog or wolf, and its ears are pointed. It reportedly has 3 long claws on each hand. It also is said to have shiny yellow eyes. Its body has been likened to that of a lean, muscular man. It also tends to sit back on its haunches or kneel like a man. The beast will reportedly run and walk on all 4 legs, or just on its hind legs. It's been seen eating prey or carrying freshly scavenged meat. It has never attacked anyone, but some witnesses claim that it had acted aggressively towards them. This aggressive behavior includes running at people and jumping on their vehicles. The creature's diet is not known for sure, but it's been seen eating the carcasses of small roadkill. The Beast of Bray Road is the most famous of modern American werewolves. It has been in the media regularly since the first sightings were publicized, and even had a low-budget movie based on its legend. Because of the numerous witnesses who have claimed to see this creature, the evidence supporting the Beast of Bray Road is far greater than the evidence supporting almost any other werewolf legend. Most cryptozoologists have decided to label it as a Bigfoot in order to avoid dealing with the scientific absurdities involved with werewolves. However, some people think that it's a cryptid canine. Some researchers consider the Beast of Bray Road to be identical to a kind of Wisconsin Bigfoot named the Bluff Monster, or the Eddie. Other names that have been applied to the Beast of Bray Road include the Werewolf and the indigenous Dogman, but the Native Americans call it the Wendigo. On the night of November 16th in 1966, an intense meteor shower was visible across most of the United States. The next evening, 2 girls in Quarryville, Pennsylvania, reported seeing a strange low-level white and green object in the sky. A similar sighting occurred in Michigan on the 19th, along with major power failures across the state at the time of the sightings. It made many question if more than a meteor shower had passed by the Earth that week. A more detailed incident occurred on November 17th at 4 a.m. in Gaffney, South Carolina. 2 police officers, Patrolman A.G. Husky and Charles Hutchins, were out on patrol that morning when the officers saw a dark spherical object with a flat rim land in front of their patrol car. There were no lights or windows on it. The object hovered about 20 feet above the ground in front of them. The object appeared to have a dull gold color in the headlights of the police car, and it seemed to be over 22 feet in diameter. It was unlike anything the officers had ever encountered before. The 2 men stared in disbelief when a ladder dropped down from a small doorway underneath the mysterious object. A small man, dressed in a shiny gold suit, emerged and descended the ladder. The strange man walked slowly and deliberately towards the officers. He didn't appear scared or like he was in a hurry. His gold suit had no buttons or zippers on it. It looked almost like a costume made from a shiny metal that reflected the headlights of the police car. The small man was about 4 feet tall and appeared to have the body of a 12-year-old boy. He looked more human than alien, but there was something off about him that made the officers know that what they were witnessing was not from this earth. The strange man began talking to the officers as he approached them. He spoke perfect English and didn't have an accent. He knew exactly what he was saying and doing. He spoke slow and precise, making sure to pronounce everything he was saying correctly. The man didn't make any quick or false moves. He just stood there and asked the 2 men a lot of questions. The moment was so surreal that the two officers couldn't recount the entire conversation they had with the man. He wanted to know why both of the officers were dressed alike. They asked where the man was from. He only laughed at them. The meeting was brief. The whole encounter seemed like it only lasted 2 or 3 minutes. Then the strange man announced, "I will return in 2 days," before slowly walking back to the ladder and climbing back in the craft. The ladder folded back into the craft and slowly closed. The unknown object took off while making a low humming sound and disappeared into the night sky. A local councilman found numerous footprints at the site where the little man had stood. However, there was no return visit by the strange man or his mysterious craft to the small town of Gaffney, South Carolina. The officers were reluctant to tell their story publicly. They didn't want any publicity or to face public scrutiny over the incident. Hutchins had been on the force for 6 months, and Husky had been on the force for 5 years. Hutchins eventually told journalist John Keel the officer's version of the story. Many media outlets had exaggerated their story after reading the officer's initial report on the encounter. Hutchins said the man was more human-like and ordinary, not some green alien that many newspapers had reported. Journalist John Keel is famous for bringing the Mothman mystery of Point Pleasant, West Virginia into national news. The Mothman was the very first cryptid we made a video on. You can find our Mothman video in our Cryptid and Legendary Monsters playlist. Thanks, strangers, for watching. Which cryptid was your favorite? Which ones do you think we should cover next? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we'd like to thank Swamp Dweller for joining us. Be sure to check out Swamp's new Cryptid Stories video to hear me narrate one of the stories, and leave him a comment letting him know you came from us. It helps us out a lot. And as always, stay strange.